Hey, welcome back to Full Count Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Blaine Arsenal. We have another coach's interview right here. We were sitting down with head baseball coach at Southside High School, Eli Lewellyn. How's it going, Coach?
It's going great, Blaine. How are you, man?
Going good. We just talked a little bit, enjoying the break. I really don't want to go back to school, but I know that's when the grind starts.
For sure. I'm excited about getting back at it for baseball. I'm ready to get to full on practice. So we're ready to go.
Yep. Let's dive into it. Your background, where you from, your playing, coaching career, stuff like that. If people that don't know you.
For sure. So coaching background, I've been at a couple of different places. Head coach at two schools previously before Southside. Was at New Iberia for a few years. That's where I met you. Had a good time together. Worked well together. Before that, I was briefly at North Lake Christian, but most of my time has been spent at New Iberia Senior High. I was a assistant coach there for years, 6 years in total, and then 4 years as a head coach. So that's most of my coaching experience. Playing career wise, I wasn't a great player or anything, but I did have the opportunity to play for Coach Jacobs at Mike Jacobs at Mobile for a year. And then I finished my career at LSUA, my last 3 years of college. And then before that, I was a player at Beauchamp High School, where I played for 3 years.
Well, awesome. You've been around a while.
Yeah, bounced around a lot.
Yeah. So how was your experience at North Lake?
I mean, it was an educational experience for me in a lot of ways. I thought I was ready to be a head coach, when I was really young, and I got to experience, being a part of two playoff teams that were really successful. Had an opportunity to coach some good players over there. Some guys I still keep in touch with. There's a couple of them I messaged over Christmas break, wishing them and their families, Merry Christmas and everything. But I learned some of my shortcomings as well, some of the things that I didn't know, and I think it really prepared me for the opportunity to work under someone like Chad Bernard, who had the opportunity to go back to and be an assistant under right after. I kind of realized that, I didn't know everything I needed to be prepared and ready to go for the step of being at a big 5A school or in a big job. And it again, positive and negative experiences kind of shaped where I'm at right now.
Yeah, you said you also spent a lot of time in Iberia where we eventually met. How was that experience as an assistant coach under Norris?
I learned a lot from Coach Norris. Coach Norris was a extremely hard worker. He was a person that my time at New Iberia was really fortunate because I know there were a lot of great coaches before me that had built that place into what it was when I was able to be the head coach of it. Guys like Coach Perkins, who was there years before, Coach Jefferson, Coach Thurman. And then Coach Robbie Norris, who had experience at Westgate as a guy that had coached guys like Jared Mitchell before, did a great job of getting, maintaining that field, building a pitching regimen with those guys. He created a culture and a standard. And then after he left, Coach Menard came in and just kept pushing it forward. So, I really benefited when I came in. There was a lot of things that were already established by the time I got there. Coach Norris, a big example. Coach Norris is responsible for the locker room that's being used still by Nish. That was kind of a thing that didn't exist at all over there. The guys used to dress out in the gym and had to walk all the way across that parking lot to be able to get the field and everything. And then, Coach Norris saw, it was important to make it where the baseball guys had an area. So he did a good job of, again, expanding that program, expanding the facilities. And for the years that I was over there with them, I mean, they were always competitive, even against the top teams in that district. So I think one of the years that I was at Northlake, they probably had the best team that they had in years over there. They had guys like Bo Aber and Max Borel, and a really strong group of seniors. Really good pitching staff that year, and I think they made a playoff run that year that was pretty good. I was unfortunately not a part of it because I was a head coach somewhere else, but I knew that group was going to be good because of the time that had been invested in it. So, like I said, Coach Norris, I learned a lot under him, and it really was a privilege to be able to work for him and to become a better coach myself. And the same is true with my time with Coach Menard. I learned, like I said, I learned from some hard knock situations, when I was a head coach at Northlake, and then I got a chance to really learn from the guy who I think is one of the best baseball minds in the state of Louisiana, Coach Chad Bernard. A lot of what I do now is based on a lot of what we did together when we had coached together when I was his assistant. I've taken a lot of I still call him for advice about things if I have questions about baseball or about a rule or about how something should be taught to players. He's really been a great mentor to me in the game, and I think every coach needs somebody that they can lean on to gain some information from, because at the end of the day, this game's been paid forward and we've learned from somebody else, and so you have to have that in this profession.
Yep. And also, I told you before, but thank you for giving me a shot when you did take this job, because Menard was the one who hired me, and then like weeks later he left, so I couldn't even really work on him, and you didn't have to like keep me on staff. So I just appreciate you for doing that.
Well, I heard nothing but good things about you, and our time together that we worked together, it was really a privilege. You had great relationships with the players. I think that was an area where you were really strong, and I know you're still strong with that, and
Yeah.
that's important. I think this business of coaching is more about people and your relationships with people, and the jersey across your chest is extremely important, but I'm really as much as possible, I try to be about people more than the trophy or the accolades or anything else. And I think winning takes care of itself if you're about that first.
And we saw that the first year, quarterfinal run.
Yep, for sure. I felt like I might have been my best about that year, and so I think the results speak from that. I fully believe that.
Yeah. It's going into the 2025 season. You amongst, I think, two other schools. It was a 20 plus wins team that, excuse me, that didn't make the playoffs. How tough is that division?
I think we compete in one of the toughest conferences, and not just in baseball, but in all of sports. Between our district, our division, not disrespecting any of the other divisions, but I mean, if you look at like some of the teams that didn't make it, I had a lot of respect for New Iberia last year. I thought y'all had a solid team, and y'all weren't in it. Neville, who I know year in and year out is well coached and has a really good team, they weren't in it. I know Fountain Blue had some really good players, and they weren't in it. So it's incredibly competitive to try to squeeze into the playoffs with 24 teams. And I don't, I'm not one of these guys that, because people were coming to me when it was all happening, like, man, if you got the wins you needed to, y'all should be in, whatever. From my perspective, we had plenty of opportunities to do what we needed to do to control our own destiny, and we didn't take advantage of those opportunities. So my hope is that we learn the lesson from last year, and not take for granted any team, or not take for granted the importance of every game, but treat every game like it's equally important, and make sure we take advantage of the opportunities that we do have. I think we lost 8 or 9 games last year by 1 run.
Wow.
So it's, you see how many of those games you lose. You have to make things happen when you have the opportunities to pull off a win. Otherwise, it ends up biting you, and you don't have a bunch of extra time in this division. If you screw up in week 2, week 3 of the season, that could be the game that kept you out of the playoffs. So we, a couple of years that I haven't made the playoffs, coach. Like the last year I was at Nish, for example, when we won 19 games, there were a couple of big losses that stand out in my mind that, you can't lose those games and hope to make the playoffs. And the same was true with, our Southside team last year. So my hope is that the boys have kind of learned from that. I know from my conversations with them that they're extremely hungry, and I try not to talk about last year too much because this is a new team. It's a new year. Last year really doesn't have bearing for good or for bad on what this year is going to be. It's going to be about the work that they've put in so far this fall and what their performance is going to be for this season. So this is a new team, but I do hope they've learned some of the lessons from the past to be able to apply that to this year.
How many starters are you returning from
Well,
last year's team?
we had a lot of guys get playing time last year that are coming back that weren't necessarily starters, but I mean, as far as position players are concerned, we're returning 8 guys on the field that were starters as position players last year. The 2 position players that we lost from last year were Maddox Norris, who was primarily a DH for us towards the middle and into the season. And Jacob Tucker, of course, who was our phenomenal shortstop that we had and leadoff hitter. I mean, a kid like Jacob, I'm not expecting any one player to go in and fill in his shoes, but we have so many returning guys that hopefully in the aggregate we can make up for what we're losing from him offensively and defensively. On the mound, we have a lot of guys that are returning with some experience. But we did lose some innings on the mound between losing seniors like Cruz Holden, Jack Williams, and of course Hunter Rogers, who's at Nunez right now. Those 3 guys, they threw a significant amount of innings for us, and they were in important roles for us last year. So trying to figure out who fills some of those roles is going to be important. But we do return, some of our key pitching like Cannon Tomplay, Landon Gibson. Those were 2 guys who were in the rotation last year. And we also have some, several other juniors and seniors, Carson Mathis, who just committed to LCU, coming back. That, I know they'll provide experience, on the mound and poise on the mound for us this year. And then we have several other guys that are juniors and sophomores that I know are going to contribute as position players this year. I know they're ready to contribute as position players. So I actually expect to be able to lean on, like offensively, for example, I don't feel like we have to just lean on 9 guys. I think we could lean on up to 12 or 13 different guys in the rotation game to game because of the depth that we've shown to have so far this fall. But that's the plan right now. I want to see what it looks like in scrimmages when I give people opportunities and, figure out who the best 9 are and try to put those guys on the field as often as possible.
Any one or few kids on the roster that you're looking to have a breakout year this year?
I mean, there's several guys that, I'd like to see, step up. Like the seniors, for example, I've told them in their exit meetings that I really think our season to some degree hinges on, and I don't want to. I mean, I didn't want to put pressure on them on this, but I think they're ready for the pressure because they're good players and they're seniors. Mason Olivier and Connor Freeman. I told both of them for us to have a good year this year. I think we're going to get what we get out of the top of the lineup, and I think we're going to get what we get out of the bottom of the lineup. But guys like Freeman and Mason, I think, can elevate beyond what they did last year for us in a way where, it gets us that extra run to win those 1-run tight games against the good teams. And so, I think there's several guys that can step up this year. I'm excited about Evan McBride, who's a junior that really didn't get much of an opportunity last year. But I think, like even last year, I felt like bat-wise, he was varsity ready and, just needed a little bit more opportunity. And I think he could be a guy that could step up and have a big year for us this year. I feel that way about, several of our senior hitters, guys like, Isaiah Medina, Cannon Tomplay, Connor Poirier, I think is going to have a really good year as our catcher this year. So we got, Jace Terrebonne, who's a good outfielder, plays defense out there. So I mean, I could rattle off the list of all of our guys. I mean, we've got a lot of good players returning that I'm excited about, and I think they're hungry and I think they're ready to step up. But it's not going to be one of the downfalls of having a guy like Jacob Tucker on the team last year is that a lot of our team kind of looked to him as being the guy all the time. I think this team is going to be a team where everybody's going to kind of have to look to each other and look to themselves, and everybody's going to have to step up a little bit and be a little bit more balanced. So I think we can be a team that elevates as a result of that, and that's my hope for this year.
With you now fully having a full year under your belt, how was how was the summer and fall implemented this year?
So this summer and this fall, I really didn't spend as much time introducing new concepts. Last year, we actually started practice during Christmas break. We did a lot more team concepts and route and how we take BP on the field, all that kind of stuff during the fall last year. This year, I didn't do as much of that because I felt like because our guys kind of have a sense of what I want to do in practice and how we coach in game during the spring, and because we have so many people returning, where it was less evaluative. For me, the priority this fall has been try to get bigger, try to get stronger, try to get faster, try to throw harder. So we were working out, several days a week. Most of the time we spent during athletic P wasn't picking up a baseball. It was doing sprinting, conditioning, running, sand pit, distance, every different type of running you could do, hurdles. And I mean, they between August through October, they felt like they were in a track program. We were doing a ton of running. And then we started picking up the baseball and really focused on long toss and throwing correctly from late October, pretty much all the way on up until past Thanksgiving break to the window that we're in now. So I think that's really going to benefit us. I mean, I've seen it. We did a couple of inter squads, and I've seen it. Some guys have really kind of, like Blaine Altazan, for example, is throwing a lot harder than he did last year. Several of the young guys, the freshmen and sophomores, are throwing significantly harder than they did when they came in the program. So for us, I feel like it's been a success and gives us a chance to be a little bit more competitive.
That being that like we talked about earlier, 20 plus wins in the hard division. How did you schedule going into this year? Did you schedule hard, try to get a lot of wins? What was your mindset scheduling this year?
So last year, the way I scheduled, I tried to put in some sure wins on the schedule last year, mainly because coming in brand new coach, I didn't really know what I was getting, and I also inherited several pieces of the schedule as well. So I had a little bit of flexibility, but not a ton, and most of my flexibility I spent in putting on some easier games for us. This year, I haven't really taken that approach. With the way the schedule's set up now, I really feel like every game potentially could be a battle. I mean, we have Turlings on the schedule, Opelousas Catholic, ERATH, and like schools like Grace Christian, all throughout the schedule, Vanderbilt Catholic, all throughout the schedule, we have tough, challenging opponents to where I think it'll benefit us because I'm going to not be able to lean on just one or two pitchers, but I really am going to have to lean on and develop a fuller pitching staff and fuller complement of guys. And I think we're going to experience probably more growing pains this year as a result of it than we did last year. I'm expecting, and I've told the guys and the coaching staff to expect some tough stretches that we probably didn't even experience last year. But with that being said, I think we're going to be more battle tested, and I think it's going to be, I think we could be an 18, 19 win team and be a much higher seed because of the level of competition that we're stepping up and playing this year. So, I'm excited about the challenge. I think the players have looked at the schedule and they're excited about it. I mean, we're playing an out-of-state team that's a state champion. And we obviously have our district opponents who all of them are very good and capable of winning games. So
state championships too.
No, absolutely, absolutely, and so I think our guys are excited about the challenge. It's going to test our resilience and our toughness this year, and we're going to really see what we're made of at Southside. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Can you at this time can you introduce talk about your coaching staff?
Yeah, I have several guys that do a great job, and they've worked really well with me. Last year, most of them are returning from last year. I have Gavin Menard, who played at Southside years ago. He's going to primarily help out with the outfielders, and he's going to help out with the pitching a little bit. We have Cully Holden, who's helping out with the pitchers and infielders. He also played Southside as a graduate over there. Coach Brandon Monrose, who's been at Southside for years. He worked with Coach Boudreaux on the previous staff and has a long connection with the program. He's going to be my first base coach, and he's also going to work with the outfielders. And then we have Ryan Giat coming in this year, who played for me at Nish, and he's primarily working with the catchers, but he's done a phenomenal job with them and elevating them. He was kind of a missing piece because last year I had Cully work with the pitchers and catchers, but when you're asked to do both, you tend to gravitate toward working with the pitchers. I mean, we have 50 kids in our program, and your attention can only be divided so many ways. So Brian coming in to really make it where the catchers have eyes on them and have some focused development has really, I believe, elevated us a little bit defensively. It's really put Connor Poirier in a position where his game has gotten better. So I'm excited about the group of guys we have. I think there's a good mix of, between Coach Monrose's experience to, the youth and relationships that, guys like Gavin and Cully and Ryan have. I think we have a good staff that works well together.
Yeah, historically speaking, a big staff is really tremendous for a 5-year program with numbers of kids like that.
It is. I mean, we have so many kids. Again, we have about 50 in the program. They're good baseball players. They all deserve to be individually made better. And as much as I would like to go and work with every one of them individually on a bunch of little things, as soon as I start doing that, I lose the big picture to some degree that I need to really maintain my focus on. So you can't run a successful high school baseball program, especially at the 5A level, without quality assistant coaches. And that's why I was really fortunate to have, the help that I had with you and Blaze and Kanan and the guys I had at Nish. But I'm fortunate now because, again, if you're on your own at this level, you're fighting a losing battle, especially because you're going up against teams, really well coached teams that they have multiple eyes and multiple places. They'll just out coach you, even if you as a head coach do a good job. A multitude of eyes, makes it a lot easier for your team, and so it's extremely important. Assistant coaches in high school baseball, assistant coaches aren't valued enough. They're not valued enough by the head coaches. Sometimes they're not valued enough by the players or by the fans, and it's extremely important that those guys are recognized because I really believe your ceiling as a high school baseball program is really dictated by your assistant coaches, by your coaching staff, and I'm fortunate and I'm blessed to have a really good group of guys that work with me.
Yeah, seems like y'all have something really great going on over there, and you're the right man for the job over there.
I appreciate it. I'll tell you, there's a lot of people that do a really good job over here. It's a phenomenal school. It's a really good administration. There's a focus on athletics about trying to grow things. I know the football program's in a place where they're knocking on the door of winning championships, and I know basketball coach Russ, I think, is one of the best basketball coaches in the state of Louisiana. So I really felt privileged to be given the opportunity. It's a dream come true for me. When I was working at Nish, I was driving past Southside every day. on the way to Nish. And I love my guys at Nish, but I was, I was thinking in my mind for years, how cool would it be to get an opportunity to be close to my family, be close to my wife and kids, be at a brand new school, have a chance to be a part of building something. Again, Nish has had a long history of success, and a lot of great coaches have come in, before that have done bigger things than I ever achieved over there. Whereas, at Southside, the Coach Boudreaux, Coach Tully, they did a good job of establishing things, but the history of the school isn't as long, so it makes it where, you have a chance to put a bigger mark on the program, when a place is a little bit newer and a little bit younger. So, I'm really blessed and fortunate to have been chosen and to be given the opportunity to be here. It's a great place to be.
Coach Brown from Grace says, "What's up, Coach? Coach, we'll do big things there."
Coach Brown's awesome. I appreciate him. He's a good guy, Grace Christian. I think he does a phenomenal job with his guys. They compete, year in and year out. And, I'm looking forward to I think we travel up there mid district. I'm looking forward to seeing them and seeing them in person and, getting a chance to say hi to them.
By far the coldest trip we ever took in the baseball season just past year. My God, it was freezing in that tournament.
Yeah. I mean, Alexandria weather is obviously different than South Louisiana, man. I remember that from my days at LSUA, so it's different. But no, there's good baseball. I'll tell you, all across the state of Louisiana. I had the opportunity to coach this past summer with some guys from around the state, and just being able to see the baseball from Central Louisiana, North Louisiana, the New Orleans area, Baton Rouge. I mean, there's great baseball all around the state. I actually feel like the guys across the state are really well coached. It's really it's as a coach, you look at it, you're like, man, you think you're doing a lot of right things, or you feel like you might be getting ahead, but there's so many players that are doing things the right way. You could tell that the level of coaching and quality of player around the region and the state is extremely competitive.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. I've been in the summer game for a while. It's year in and year out. The game gets better every day. It's almost a detriment to the high school season because most people like to play mostly summer than high school. If you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, like for years, I tried doing the midweek Metro ball stuff, and I wanted my guys to pitch for me midweek, but then they wanted to play for their weekend team or whatever. And I think there's a great place for guys to do summer stuff, and I think high school season is the high school season. And I've kind of grown out of trying to box my guys in or try to make it where they have to be with me all the time. In a lot of ways, I think it's good for them to get a voice besides mine to coach them. They can learn some new things. They can see the game from a different perspective. They can hear maybe some different cues that might work better for them. You can't ever think as a coach that you have all the answers or that you know everything or that you're God's gift to baseball. You have to be humble enough to. And you also don't own the kids. Like the kids and the families should be able to go where they feel it's best for them to put them in the best spot to be successful. And that's generally how I feel. Like my job as a coach is to whatever I can do, help our young men develop and get better, and put them in positions where they can succeed. And if they have the ability to advance maybe to the next level.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? I think I know what you would say, but what are your thoughts on the power rankings, the LHSA system, stuff like that?
Well, I actually think it's a really fair system, despite the fact that we were, one slot out of it. I guess there's only one question I would have is like, and I think I understand why they do it, but why would it be 24 teams and not 28 like some of the other sports with its split divisions? But again, at the same time, if it's going to be 24 teams or 16 teams or whatever it is, If we're told the rules ahead of time and we're competing within the parameters of the rules, at the end of the day, I can live with it and go with it. I think, I used to try to, when I was making a schedule, figure out ways to, schedule this team or that team and try to get points or whatever, but you can't really predict how the teams you schedule are gonna perform in a given year. I think the best thing you can do is to try to schedule competitive teams in a competitive schedule and put your team in a position where you don't want to put it on legend mode on MLB The Show either if you're not ready for that. But at the same time, if you are ready to challenge your team a little bit, put your team in a position where where they have to battle a little bit and experience some adversity, because I think that adversity is what makes you better. You just don't want to drown yourself to where you can't come back. And we've been in some of those spots with some years at Nish where we didn't have a great team, or we had to discipline some guys and maybe not have as strong a team as we thought we were going to have. And then you go and play a tough schedule and you got a water gun. It's tough to compete, so I think you instead of trying to answer your question, instead of trying to mess around with worrying about PowerPoints in 5A, I think the best thing you could do as a 5A coach is to schedule good quality opponents, but also put yourself in a position where you're not going to drown your team. If you do have a tough run of games, maybe schedule some breaks here or there to make it where you guys can have a chance at getting a spark or bouncing back a little bit.
Yeah. Would you like to see it go back to 32 teams and everybody's combined?
I mean, I see the arguments on both sides of it. For me, I'm okay with it being either one. I'm willing to compete with either one. I don't have a problem with competing against private schools. I don't have a problem with, we play several private schools this year. We're going to open with St. Thomas More. So it's not, again, it doesn't bother me. Whatever the state decides, we're gonna compete in it. But I'm also not one of these guys that's pining away to, we have to get back together or whatever, because I used to work at a private school, and I saw how some things were done, and there is an argument to where it isn't a level playing field, where it isn't and especially when you get to 2A, 3A, what those guys are in some cases competing against, it makes it where they feel like they might have a chance if it is split. So again, I whatever the state decides, I know there's a proposal up about reuniting 5A. I mean, we're gonna go with whatever happens.
Excuse me. They talked about that regional, super regional stuff. How you feel about that?
I think it's a cool idea. I like the idea of moving things more to like a college style format. I think it's innovative and it's different, and it moves us more that direction. I know for us, the challenge that would be presented if we were fortunate to host a playoff game would be the light situation, but we would make it work if we were a team that was, again, fortunate enough to be one of those top 8 teams that would be a regional host. But I think it would be a really cool experience for the guys to be able to go to like a hotel and everybody. Like if, for example, if Destrehan's a regional host and you had 4 teams over there and we went over there, and it makes it where you're not stuck playing the same team over and over and over again, and it makes it where again, it's more similar to what the college format's like, which I think is pretty cool. But I think the ending the split thing, it might be a bridge too far for some of the coaches or some of the schools. So we'll see how the vote ends up going.
Awesome, man. I just want to say thanks for sitting down and talking to us this afternoon. Looking forward to a great season, and hopefully we both end up in Sulphur somehow.
Same to you, Blaine. Good luck to you guys. I know y'all work hard, and I know y'all are set up to have a successful year too. And I'm rooting for those guys. Again, like I said, I'm about people. I appreciate my time with you and appreciate my time with the guys at Nish. And you know, whatever I can do to help people, that's what I'm about, man. So good luck to you, man.
All right, and those for tuning in, thanks again. Be on the lookout on our Facebook page. We'll be announcing another coach soon. Take care.